If you are over 60 and still choosing golf balls the same way you did at 45, you may be making the game harder than it needs to be. Most golfers at this stage notice the distance dropping and respond the same way. They swing harder. The grip tightens. The tempo breaks down. Contact gets less consistent. And the ball, which was already working against a slower swing, now has even less to work with. Here is what almost nobody says out loud. Part of that distance loss may not be about your body. Part of it may be the ball. When swing speed drops, a ball engineered for faster speeds compresses differently at impact. It launches lower. It spins more off the driver, and it punishes mishits in ways a faster swing used to cover up. After 60, those punishments become very visible, very fast. Today, I tested 3 of the most popular balls for players in this situation: Callaway Supersoft, Titleist TruFeel, Wilson Duo Soft. One is the most recognized name in soft golf balls. One carries the most trusted brand in the game. And one is the kind of ball serious golfers overlook because the price feels too good to be true. By the end of this, you will know which one actually helps most after 60, not which one has the best marketing. The one that gives older golfers the most usable distance, the straightest flight, and the confidence to enjoy a round again. If you have been watching your ball flight change and telling yourself it is just age, stay with me. The answer might be simpler than you think. If this kind of content helps your game, subscribe now so you do not miss what comes next. The lens here is simple. Not which ball is best in the abstract. Which ball is best for the swing most golfers over 60 actually make on most holes, not just on perfect days. The Callaway Supersoft is the obvious place to start because it built this category. Its compression sits around 38, which is exceptionally low. That means the ball compresses fully at impact even when the swing is moderate. You do not need to generate a lot of force to get it working. It launches relatively high off the driver, and the side spin it produces on off-center strikes tends to be lower than a firmer ball. For a golfer dealing with a slice that has gotten worse over the years, that matters. Off the irons, the Supersoft gives a soft, forgiving sensation. Carry distances stay consistent in a way that builds confidence over a round. Around the green it is readable without being spectacular. You can feel the difference between a clean chip and a poor one, which is what you need when controlling distance on short shots. The main trade-off is short game ceiling. If you still want to shape shots and stop the ball quickly from the fairway, the Supersoft may feel too simple. It is built for ease, and ease is sometimes not the trade you want to make. But for most golfers over 60 whose main concerns are distance off the tee and keeping the ball in play, the Supersoft earns its reputation. It makes the game feel easier from the first drive. The Titleist TruFeel is a different proposition. It plays firmer than the Supersoft, not hard, but noticeably more substantial at impact. Off the driver it launches with a more penetrating flight that holds its line better in a breeze. For golfers who play open, windy courses, that stability is worth something real. Where the TruFeel is strongest is around the green. Chips feel crisper. Putts roll with a satisfying response. If short game confidence is something you have been losing, the TruFeel may restore some of it through sensation alone. The difficulty is that for swing speeds that have dropped meaningfully, the TruFeel asks a little more at impact. On heel and toe strikes, it feels slightly less protected. Distance gaps between good contact and average contact are wider. For a golfer whose contact is already variable, that gap matters more than it used to. The TruFeel is a strong ball, but strong is not the same as best suited. Then there is the Wilson Duo Soft, and this is where the test gets interesting. The Duo Soft is one of the lowest compression balls available to consumers, sitting around 29 on most measurements. That number sounds extreme, but for a golfer with a swing speed in the low to mid-70s, it translates to something specific. The ball responds to the swing you actually have, not the swing you used to have. It compresses with almost no resistance. It launches easily. And it flies straighter than you would expect, because a ball that is not fighting your speed is not amplifying your side spin either. Off the driver, the Duo Soft does not feel explosive. It feels cooperative. There is a difference. Explosive feels like energy being released. Cooperative feels like the ball going where you sent it without argument. For older golfers who have spent years trying to force distance out of equipment that was quietly resisting them, Cooperative is a revelation. The mishit protection is where the DuoSoft separates itself most clearly. On a toe strike or a low face contact, the ball still gets airborne. It still travels a usable distance. It does not punish you the way a firmer ball does when the strike is not centered. And at this stage of the game, not getting punished for a normal miss is worth more than getting rewarded for a perfect strike. On the irons, carry distances are consistent and predictable. The ball does not surprise you. It goes where the iron sends it, which sounds simple until you have played enough rounds with a ball that was doing something unexpected on every other approach. The honest limitation of the DuoSoft is short game feel. It is very muted around the green. Chips and pitches give you less feedback than the TruFeel and slightly less than the Supersoft. For golfers who rely on feel to control their wedge distances, that is a real trade-off. The ball is not unresponsive, but it is quieter than the others. If your short game is built more on technique and less on touch, that trade is manageable. If feel around the green is essential to how you score, it is worth knowing before you commit. Now, let us put the three together directly, because the comparison is where the real decision lies. On driver distance, the Supersoft and the DuoSoft are close. Both launch easily and carry well for moderate swing speeds. The TruFeel gives back a small amount of carry in exchange for that more penetrating, wind-stable flight. If you play mostly calm conditions, that trade is rarely worth it. If you play in wind regularly, the TruFeel holds up better. On straight flight, the DuoSoft edges ahead. The extremely low compression means less side spin is generated even when the swing path is slightly off. The Supersoft is close behind. The TruFeel, being a firmer ball, amplifies swing errors a little more, which is the last thing you want when tempo is already harder to maintain consistently. On mishit protection, the DuoSoft wins clearly. The combination of ultra-low compression and a soft cover means that off-center strikes still produce usable results. This is the category that matters most for the average round over 60, because perfect strikes happen on some holes, not all of them. On value, the DuoSoft wins by a significant margin. It typically costs less than half of what the TruFeel costs per dozen, and it undercuts the Supersoft as well. That gap matters psychologically. A golfer who is not worried about losing a ball in the water or the rough swings differently than one who is. Confidence is not just about the ball. It is about the freedom to commit to a shot without hesitation. Here is what all of this adds up to. The TruFeel finishes third. Not because it is a bad ball, it is not, but because what it does best, short game feel and wind stability, are not the areas where most golfers over 60 need the most help. Its asking price at impact is slightly too high for a swing that has lost speed and consistency. The Supersoft finishes second. It is genuinely excellent for this profile, and it would be the right recommendation for many golfers in this group, particularly those who want a familiar, trusted name and whose short game relies heavily on touch and feedback. If you find yourself nodding at everything the Supersoft does well, it may be your answer. But it is not the winner of this test. Leave your comment below. Which of these three balls are you currently playing, and what made you choose it? The Wilson DuoSoft wins this test. And I want to be precise about why, because the reason matters more than the result. It does not win because it is the longest ball. It wins because it asks the least from your swing and gives the most back. For a golfer over 60 with a swing speed that has changed, a ball that stops demanding what you no longer deliver consistently is not a compromise. It is the smarter choice. There is a version of this conversation that goes badly, where choosing a soft, inexpensive ball feels like admitting defeat, like accepting that you are not the golfer you were. That framing is worth setting aside completely. The best golfers in the world change equipment when the equipment stops serving their game. Choosing the DuoSoft is not a retreat. It is the same logic applied honestly. What the DuoSoft does for most golfers over 60 is restore a sense of ease that has been slowly disappearing. The ball gets up without a fight. It stays in play more often. It does not punish the heel strike on the 6th hole the way a firmer ball would. And because it is inexpensive, you swing without hesitation, without that half second of caution that creeps in when you are about to hit a ball over water that cost you $2. The Callaway Supersoft is an excellent runner-up and may genuinely be the better fit if short game feel is central to how you score. The Titleist TruFeel is a quality ball for golfers who want the Titleist experience and play in conditions where a more penetrating flight earns its keep. But for the broadest group of golfers over 60, the Wilson Duo Soft delivers the most complete package where it counts most: off the tee in the fairway, and on the holes where the swing was never going to be perfect anyway. The best ball after 60 is not the one that rewards your best swing. It is the one that protects your normal swing. And that ball, in this test, costs less than $8 a sleeve. If this video helped you think through your equipment differently, share it with someone in your group who has been quietly fighting the same distance problem. Subscribe so you do not miss the next comparison. The game gets better when the equipment works with you. Start there.